birthday. Good time. Bert worked over at WIN. I was out at WAKY. We did celebrate our 21st birthday at the Piccadilly Pub, I believe, on 4th Street.
Did the card all peanuts?
Yes.
The carded it?
The card.
I bet you still get carded. Carded both of you.
Ben Flutter, ladies and gentlemen, Rudy Ratchet. Brian, come up.
Hey, Bobby.
Tell them who you are, tell them what you did.
Money. Yeah.
Bob Klein, I worked at WKLO from 1926. 2 weeks ago when I got fired for letting teenagers in the station. Johnny, Bob Watson, Claude, Alan Bryan, Pete Boyce, Joe, but first and foremost, Alan Bryan. He's one of the first voices I ever heard on the radio, and damn you, Alan. He got me into radio without even knowing it. But there's one thing that doesn't have anything to do with me, but I thought was fantastic, and I can't remember exactly how long this went on, but Bob Watson and Skinny Bobby Harper. Do you know what I'm going to talk about, Bob?
Talking about the blue ties?
No.
Oh.
There are 2 moo cows on the streets of Louisville this morning. That was a news story one morning, right? And Bobby Harper, I don't know, I guess it was Bobby, every morning for a long time he'd ask you, all right, Bob, do it. And you do the bit, right?
Oh, did I do the impersonation of the cows?
No. You just say the same thing every morning at the end of the newscast.
Nothing.
And I had some job where I was actually getting up in the morning and going to work, and I'll never forget hearing that every night. I was like, how long are they going to do this? That was something special.
Wondered Harper got. I mean, that was about it. But he was the big guy there, you know.
Yeah, Harper was in between Bill Crisp and Bale, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Who's next? It's all me.
Gary Griffin.
Gary Griffin.
All right, Gary.
I've got a lot of memories, just like...
Tell them what years you were.
Okay, I was there from '74 to the end.
Yeah.
I left in 1981, and I was there the day that I was in the studio the night we flipped the switch from WKLO to KJ100.
The new KJ100.
Horace Roth. Lateral replays and Horace Roth. I was the production manager there, and I got to tell you something. I worked with Horace many years. I got some great stories. I can't tell them here. But I was just one guy, just like all the rest of you guys and girls, and you all got stories, and there's some that we can tell amongst ourselves, but not in mixed company. So I won't bore you with that one. But, you know, I will say this about the business. I am very, very much appreciative of the fact that I worked in that business. And I'm so happy that I was able to work in the business at the time that I worked in it. I learned so much about, believe it or not, I learned so much about life, the universe, and everything from working in the radio business. And I mean, you know, I've been in business for myself, and the people around me and the people that worked for the indispensable opposition, you know, I mean, everybody, all of that, I just soaked it all up like a big old sponge. And I have to say, and I've said this to other people, and I'm so glad I'm having a chance to say it tonight, I have been in awe of all of you all this time. And for those of us who are no longer with us, and for those of us who couldn't be here tonight, I thank you, and it's so great to see all of you.
Feet away from these people screaming at the top of their lungs trying to see if they can be on the radio. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Elliott, you tell them who you are.
This is a great night for me. I
absolutely love the old WAKY and KLO days. I grew up listening to this station. I really feel like I became a much better broadcaster having a chance to listen to such great radio in Louisville, Kentucky. Just a couple of very quick stories. When I was 14, it's the thing I wanted to do more than anything else in the world, and I was dumb enough to call Johnny Randolph one day, and unbelievably, he made time for me. He talked to me for about a half an hour, and he was incredibly encouraging and said, follow your dream and do what you want to do and dream big dreams. And I'm sure John doesn't remember that because he probably talked to a million different kids, but boy, I remember it. I have never forgotten it, and I will never, ever be able to thank him enough for being as encouraging as he was in those days. I went to WAKY in about '83 and was there until '86, until unbelievably the manager blew it up and we went beautiful music. Can anybody figure this one out?
No.
We went beautiful music one night. They decided to pull the plug, and it was really a surreal moment. Johnny came up from Danville. We let people know about 5 hours before we turned it off. And we had a, sort of a goodbye party, and Johnny came up from Danville and all that kind of stuff. And it was just a magic, magic night. Gary Clark, who is here with us, was there that night. And I know Gary can tell you some stories about this. When they pulled the plug at midnight, we just sat there stunned, and nobody wanted to leave. Because, I mean, it really was the end of an era in Louisville. And although I wasn't there in the glory days, it's one of the special memories of my life, being there from '83 to '86 and playing the music. And it's something that maybe this current generation doesn't understand as much, but it's something that nobody will ever take away from me, and I will treasure those memories always. Went then to VEZ and HAS, and now doing talk at Salem property here at 970 every day, and still love it. I'm blessed to be able to do this every day and still love it. It's still magic for me, and all got started by listening to the guys at WAKY and KLO. And for all of you who were doing your thing when I was growing up, I thank you all so much for being so kind and patient with me and teaching me the right way to do it.
Thanks,
Good call. He swore to secrecy.
It's wonderful to be here. It really is. I think when I think about all of this, it's the spirit that I see. I can't remember half of what we did. And this guy right here, one of the finest history writers in America. I still have the book, man. And I was over in Carroll County 2 days ago, and they try to tell all stories about how Morgan's Raiders had a lead mine in their area and stopped there and mined their ammunition before they went on into Indiana. I said, you better talk to Watson about this. You know, the news guys that I worked with were amazing intellects. I mean, okay, they were as wild as we were, okay? Don't let them try to fool you on that. They were just very...
But not Reed Gate.
No, not Reed. And then Reed goes on. One time I'm flying in a helicopter with Reed, right? And this was like in between. I don't know where he was or what he was doing, but we were doing some sports thing, and he wanted to do a sports network. He always had these bizarre ideas about what he was going to do his own thing instead of working the broadcast business. But what he wanted to do, and if somebody had the money, it probably would have been great, was to start a local sports network that did nothing but high school football and basketball, and do it in the region. And he thought he could get the money together for it. And I don't know why it never happened, because we are so sports idiotic in this part of the world that it should have worked. And this is the group of people that I work with. I mean, you know, I can tell you funny stories, but I would get killed because I was sworn to secrecy. God loving Bailey's dead, but I'll never tell those stories. His spirit is right here.
And we had some on you.
Yes, yes. And I worked with Chuck at Wynn later, and that was crazy. There were gunshots and everything else involved in those stories, but you'll have to wait till I'm gone, Chuck, and hope that they take me way away from this planet.
I wouldn't do that to you.
But I gotta say, as far as the intelligence level, the sensitivity, and the soul level of all the people in this room, I never found in my travels around the country and around the world, I never found another group of people that I could identify with. Maybe that's my ego. Maybe that's my curse. You know what I'm saying? But this is humanity to me. These are real human beings, okay? And these are people that had spirit. Because, you know, we tell all these wild stories. Well, hell, the public will never know, you know, what went on. And the kids today, I'm sorry to say, don't have the same kind of spiritual leaders as we were. No. Because it's changed. We're not the America we were back in the WAKY and WKLO days. Maybe you guys disagree with me.
Yeah.
But it's sad to me, in a deep sort of a way, that this country is losing that. Because the spirit's changed. The spirit's changed. And of course, as long as we're alive and can get together like this so that we don't have to worry about them putting us in jail or, you know, shooting our families or anything like that.
The old stuff.
We can keep it going. Obviously, we broke as many rules as Johnny Landolph would let us break. Okay. Obviously, Joe and I could sit and tell tales and Weird Beard when he was alive. We dreamed up more stuff than you can imagine. Klein over here, sitting here looking innocent like he is. We used to get together at White Castles on Broadway down.
No, I'll pay you.
And dream this stuff up. The other thing that people may not know is that there was this connection between WAKY and WKLO that existed in the air, so to speak.
Right.
It certainly wasn't there in the books.
Yeah.
And it certainly wasn't there in the numbers and on the surface. But underneath it all, there was this network where we passed back and forth information and we dreamed up all these crazy things that we were going to do. And what was it, Cupies? Was that going downtown?
Yeah.
I'll tell this one story because Bert was one of my best friends, and he dreamed this one up. This was his idea. And I'm not sure, Joe, if you and I were involved in it. I can't remember this part. But we decided, back then, you know, you had reel-to-reel tape. Okay, there was the cart machines were just coming in and all of this. Bert dreamed up this idea where we would all tape our shows. And Pete Boyce can tell because Pete was an engineer, and Pete, I hope you get Pete up here because Pete has stories if he will tell them, if the Masonic Order will allow him to tell these stories. So we all taped our shows for 2 hours on a big reel-to-reel and slapped them on, and then at the queue, we all walked down to Cupies and sat in there with our transistor radios and had a party for 2 hours while the tapes were going.
You're fired.
Yes. Oh yeah. FCC and everything else, because remember, all night long, we all had to be first-class engineers because of the FCC regulations. You could not leave your transmitter unmonitored at that time.
Every half-hour reading.
So, I mean, there were things like that happened, but the spirit of it all was what it was about, and what we were trying to encourage in people that they don't encourage today, in radio, television, newspapers. I can go on and on and on. And I'm, you know, I'm very sorry. I'm very sad. I'm taking paroxetine on a regular basis in order to keep myself up above all of it, because it's going away, folks. And what I encourage you to do, because I love you all, I wish to God I could spend hours just sitting down and talking with all of you, but I encourage